do this.
What is up, Bleepin Spacers?
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know. Do you have a better one for our rep?
Well, no, the term spacers was, oh my God, the on-call phone goes off right as we start. God
Do
damn
it.
it. Sorry.
Absolutely do it. Listen, I'll vamp like a motherfucker because I was just gonna say, Haley, my co-host, actually has a bunch of important things to do. Oh, budget deliberations in City Hall. Specs, yeah. I won't lie to you. Budget and municipal politics never. Separately, they're not great, but together, they're awful. Yeah, no, that's entirely fair, Specs. I'm somewhat familiar with the of staff. I would say, all right, staff of etc. to it. No, Specs. It's never great. Just make sure that you spell all the counselors' names right, and you'll be fine. Also, Squee is going to be directly behind me for various bits and parts, because we are sharing an office. Yeah, like that. She can pull that shit. Yeah, yeah. So really, at a certain point, we've realized that an 8x8 office does lead to some hilarious circumstances when it comes to, fucking with each other's video calls, but, such is life. And that is exactly why I think I'm the better co-host of Bleepin Space Jim. Thank you for all
I
coming in
heard,
here.
uh, Brayden, why did you make my webcam so big?
Oh shit, I did. Okay. Oh man. All right.
Better co-host my fucking ass.
Ah, it's okay. It's okay. Your name's on, I would say your name's on the door. Also the
Yeah,
Twitch
my
account.
name was still on top because I stacked these layers.
Yep, absolutely. And I don't know how to
But somehow there was like a lot of me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, worst comes to worst, it's just like we can just slowly increase the size of all of this. Therefore, just like that we can just slowly take over each other's part of the screen. But
That that would be fun, but I don't know what purpose that would serve.
I think really just sort of our own visceral enjoyment. All right, but yes, I would say both of our chat is entirely correct. I'm not good at layering. I'm not good at
This
layering. It's fine.
is going great.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah, no, now I'm also just wondering how far delayed we are. We'll see. We'll see.
yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because we have moved, my internet's less good than it used to be, so we're going to all find
Yep.
out
Yeah.
together.
You're gonna get some words from your partner.
Yeah.
Uh okay, so Brayden, we watched Dagger of the Mind this week.
Mm-hmm.
What a fucking episode. I would definitely rank this as one of the classic Star Trek episodes.
Yep, you can. I was just going to say, I actually did do some brief looking up of this because I had questions. I had
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
And apparently, this is the eighth best episode that we're getting. Apparently, according
Sure.
to Star Trek fans, some varietal of Star Trek
Where?
fans. Oh God, I didn't look that far into it. Again,
Well, no,
you're
but
the
like what
researcher.
where no, where did you find this that it said it was like the eighth best Star Trek episode?
I would say the place of which all of my facts
Oh,
come from.
Sci-Fi Now.
Yep,
It
thank
was
you.
Sci-Fi
That's the
Now.
word. I was gonna say Wikipedia. That's better.
Yeah, no, I
Squee
knew
the
where to look for
squee the
it.
fact that it's been 2 minutes since I actually said that to when you responded makes me think that it might not be as fine as we think.
It's fine.
It's not fine.
It's not fine.
Um the whole reason we switched to Braden hosting was so that the internet would be faster. But now
Yeah,
it's not.
I was just gonna say I think we're roughly
Squee has
equivalent
cursed
now.
us.
Yep, that's exactly the phrase we're going to use.
Yeah, this is a great idea for me to shit talk your girlfriend.
Yeah, it's not like I'm gonna be able to get smacked in the back of the head, or have a
Sorry.
or have a water can thrown at my head.
Water can.
Oh yeah, no, we have
Because
canned
that's
water
a
now.
thing normal people use.
Well, Like half a cider, half sparkling water. It's a thing.
Do you
It
mean
was.
water bottle, Braden?
No, I do not. Hold on.
Anyways,
No, 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 no,
let's
no.
talk about Star Trek. Oh, okay. We have to see the water can.
Water can.
Ooh, what
Water
brand is that?
can.
Vivo? Oh, I'm not familiar with that brand. I have been drinking a lot of Rook water,
Mm-hmm.
which is a local Alberta sparkling water. It's real good. It's real good.
That's good to
But
know.
tonight we're drinking the tap stuff.
Yeah, you know, that's fair. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm drinking also a different varietal of water with hops, barley.
Well, I also have my squished grape
It's
water.
true. I would say stomped on by only the best of feet.
Probably.
We hope.
Okay, so
Star
let's talk about
Trek.
this episode a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this episode, Dagger of the Mind, was directed by Vincent McEvedy. It was written by Shimon Winselberg as S. Var David. Music, of course, again by Alex
Mm-hmm.
Courage, and the cinematography again by Jerry Finnerman. And it originally aired November 3rd, 1966. It stars James Gregory as Dr. Adams, Morgan Woodward as Dr. Van Gelder, Mariana Hill as Lieutenant Helen Noel, Larry Anthony as Mr. Berkeley, and Suzanne Wasson as Lethe.
I think it's
Letta.
Lethe. I think it's Lethe, is it not?
I am unclear.
Which is also a massive friggin' spoiler for the entirety of part of this.
What?
The River Lethe. It's where you go to I would say in Tartarus to wash away your memories. What explain? New episodes every second Thursday.
Somehow you out nerded me on a show about being nerdy.
Don't know, man. I played a lot of
Incredible.
Hades, man. I played a
Incredible.
lot of Hades.
We love to see it.
Mhm.
Um really the major like trivia about this episode is that the title is a quote from William Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Mhm.
And because I can, I'm going to read the quote. Is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle toward my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. Art thou not, fatal vision, sensible to feeling as to sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation proceeding from the heat oppressed brain? So Macbeth is planning to murder the King of Scotland. He sees a dagger that he attempts to grasp, but it's only a hallucination. It's a dagger of the mind.
I would say again, you can tell which one of us is the theater kid, and I solidly
Uh,
appreciate it.
okay, we're both theater kids.
Yes, I
Shut up.
know, but you actually went to school mainly for it. I had to do it as an option because they didn't let me in. They didn't let me into the main
Uh,
program, man. Anyways, I digress.
Anyways, the USS Enterprise is on a routine cargo drop to the Tantalus penal colony on the planet Tantalus 5, beaming
Carrying.
down. Sorry?
I was just gonna
Oh,
say, absolutely beaming down supplies, which are.
beaming down cylinders containing infrasensory drugs and other supplies. Lieutenant Berkeley, in charge of the transporter, tries to beam the cargo down but is having trouble doing so. Captain Kirk enters the transporter room, seeing this, and jokingly chides Berkeley over the fact that the colony has not yet deactivated its security force field. After contacting the colony, it does so and the cargo is beamed down. The colony sends up a large case to the Enterprise, which is research supplies for the Central Bureau of Penology at Stockholm. After Kirk and Berkeley leave, the case opens slowly, revealing a man, clearly mentally ill. I debate that.
Eh.
He carefully makes his way toward the distracted assistant transporter operator and knocks him out. So obviously, let's just get it out of the way right now. When we talk about a penal colony, it sounds like we're saying the word penis.
Yep.
Brayden and I are, in fact, 11-year-old boys, and we
Mm-hmm.
think that's hilarious.
Oh, it's inherently a hilarious statement. Like it's not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's very funny. Like yeah, 100% very funny.
yeah, yeah. Objectively, a
Mm-hmm.
very funny thing. Um,
And they dive
uh,
deeper into it as well.
It's true. We asked each other earlier, is penology actually a study? And by pure coincidence, I
It,
happened to be re-listening to some old podcast episodes about. Oh my god! I just punched my whole microphone.
she's so excited she just cold cocked the thing
So
she's using.
excited,
Yeah.
and I just can't hide it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's making her lose her mind.
I happened to be re-listening to some old podcast episodes about Alcatraz,
Mm-hmm.
and penology is in fact the correct word. Oh, I'm all small.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'll make you a regular size again.
You
Sorry,
were
buddy.
you were trying to pretend that you're seeing that I wouldn't notice.
At this point, I was just gonna say just laser sharp focus and yeah, we got it. It's good. It's fine.
Um, yeah, so penology is in fact the correct term for the study of penal systems
Is
and
it?
of what, sorry?
No, I was saying genuinely just like, okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. So just pure coincidence, I happened to listen to a podcast episode today that mentioned penology, and I was like, huh.
Hmm. I mean, also
Oh,
coincidentally, I would say a friend of mine came back from Iceland when there is in fact a museum full of penises. So I also very much
yeah.
assumed that it was just something to do with dicks. Turns out you were
I
right, I
mean,
was wrong.
technically it was because criminals are dicks.
True. Hot take. Hot take. Hot take from Abop over here, but
Hot
yeah,
take, criminals not
dicks.
usually great people.
But I actually do have a genuine question about teleportation and how that dude snuck up. Does
Okay.
I would say by and large, like, would a teleporter work just sort of like, okay, it just took the box, but would it also not be teleporting, like, each sort of individual asset up with it as well?
So I definitely don't have the full answer to that question because I don't know enough about the
Also, it
science.
doesn't. Also, it's
Um,
straight up impossible to do now. So that's more just my genuine curiosity.
you ruined it.
Sorry, man.
Um, the worst. I would say that the method that a transporter works on is it you tell it to take every atom in a specific area as is
Hmm.
and take them all apart, make them all small, and then send them up and reform them as is.
Okay.
So, regardless of like if something is not supposed to be in there, unless a human actually looks at it and says like, "Hey, this isn't supposed to be in there," the transporter is just going to transport every atom that it's told to transport. That's why you have to stand in the beam.
Okay.
Fuck. Specs pops in
Yep, that's all. Nope,
to
that.
just yell penis
Yeah.
and leaves.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of. I do the same. Listen, in fact, for Specs' work, I could. I could. All I need is to figure out where there's news.
Okay. Um, I really liked the moment where Kirk comes over to the transporter
Hmm.
um, worker and is like, "You're beaming down to a penal colony." Because for those of you that have seen the Star Trek 2009 movie,
Hmm.
you'll recall that at one point, um, Captain Pike asks Hikaru Sulu, "Did you leave the parking brake on?" And that is what saves them from being destroyed instantly when they go to warp.
God bless you for
Um,
knowing, like, remembering and knowing that. Like,
I remember the things that are important to me.
absolutely.
And that was a very funny joke, so I liked it a lot.
Hmm.
All right. On the bridge, Kirk talks to Dr. McCoy, telling him that he wishes he could have had the time to meet Dr. Tristan Adams, and asks McCoy if he has visited a penal colony since they have started following his theories. "A cage is a cage, Jim," he remarks. Kirk tells McCoy he is behind the times, as the captain considers them to be more like resorts now.
It's a good
Just,
prison island. It's a chill prison island.
I mean, so was Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Um, just then, the
Just.
Tantalus penal colony hails the Enterprise, informing the starship that an inmate is missing and possibly hid in the case they had set up. They also inform them that the missing patient is a potentially violent case. Um, intruder alert. Intruder alert. We all go to red alert.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, the mysterious stowaway has taken the transporter operator's Operations Red utility uniform. What?
That is.
What a sentence.
Yep. That is. Yeah, I would say that seems like it might have needed editing. Like, this is probably the writer's, like, ninth episode they've done that day, and just like,
Yeah.
okay. And yet, somehow, he seems, despite the fact that he is, I would say that he does have, like, an Enterprise uniform on, he somehow stands out more.
Well, okay, so let's get to that. So, he steals the red uniform and makes his way out into the Enterprise's corridors. He is immediately spotted by Fields, who
Mhm.
alerts the bridge through an intercom that he is on Deck 14. Spock reports that Deck 14 is being closed off and a search is in progress. So, the reason he stands out is probably because he's not familiar with how a starship operates.
Mhm.
And so for him to hear someone yell, "Hey, you from engineering," he doesn't necessarily know that that's him. But also, this is a man who is out of his mind, and really does not know what he's doing or where he is. He is not of sound mind by any means.
Fair. Asked and answered. Asked and
Is that
answered.
fair?
No, absolutely, please.
Security is then alerted to the stowaway, and he surprises one of the guards looking for him and overpowers him and takes his phaser. He then heads to the bridge, where he easily dispatches the bridge guard and then reveals his name is Simon Van Gelder, and he demands asylum from Kirk. After he is incapacitated by Spock using a Vulcan nerve pinch, he is captured and restrained in sickbay. Later, Kirk attempts to get answers out of Van Gelder, but he seems to struggle enormously when he tries to confirm his name and that he was a director at the Tantalus colony. McCoy then has him sedated with a hypospray.
Mhm.
Later, on the bridge, Spock determines that Van Gelder is indeed a former associate of Tantalus Administrator Dr. Tristan Adams, assigned to the colony only 6 months prior. Um, there is a lot. There's a lot that happens.
Yep. Really rapidly. And you
Yeah,
find out that Kirk really does seem to have a thing for fanboying over incredibly suspicious scientists.
I also want to point out that Kirk and Spock had a psychic conversation about what they were going to do to subdue this guy.
Oh, absolutely. I would say Kirk does a high kick, Spock does the nerve pinch. Kirk does the flashy stuff with the
Yep.
gun pointed at him, and Spock just sneaks in, just.
And this only confirms my theory that Spurk is a thing. That is my ship.
Absolutely. Also,
I,
for those
I
just
will die
tuning
on
in
that
for the
ship.
time, Spock. I would say Spurk is sort of the combination of Spock and Kirk,
Yeah.
not just the technical term for Vulcan ejaculate.
It's the Okay, I guess that's a good time for me to mute and deal with a phone call.
Yep,
I'll be
go
right
be
back.
free. Oh my goodness. So, what again? You start finding out that Simon Van Gelder, the actor that was playing Simon Van Gelder, he is actually on the record as to, for all intents and purposes, this role actually took like him months to just like weeks to recover from. And it is because, in my opinion, this is the most reserved face that Simon Van Gelder has throughout this. We find out eventually that there are reasons for that, but he is going for it. Like in a way that is truly and utterly astonishing to me that he has not ruptured a blood vessel in his brain. Also, just sort of in my rudimentary looking up of this, he ended up, I would say this guy had actually been in westerns for like 20, 30 years. And he wanted out of westerns because Northern California is hella dusty. And once you've basically spent 30 years being sheriff's deputy number 5, you want out. You want out, you want done. So he just basically went, okay, I would like something entirely different. Cast me against type, please. Like, I'll do what you need me to do. So they got him a guest spot on his agent, I'm guessing, or maybe NBC. Got him this particular guest spot in which I will say, with all admiration to this, he chews the fucking scenery. Every single time. It is made very apparent as to why, but he is gloriously unhinged. And I cannot imagine how much effort this must have taken to just like, okay, you need to do this like 6 more times for this particular take. And just, oh man, even just one of those takes probably would have just absolutely wiped me. I was just catching them up on basically a little bit of trivia on the guy who played Simon Van Gelder, in which he basically needed to take a week off after this.
Yeah, yeah, he said it was very stressful, but he was incredible.
Yep.
Like the work that he was capable of doing and the acting was just amazing.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
people just don't do acting like this anymore.
He swung for the fences every single time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was incredibly impressed by
Mm-hmm.
him. Um I I also love that in this sequence,
Mm-hmm.
it's not really talked about in that in the summary, but
Mm-hmm.
they do talk a little bit about how the Vulcans dealt with
Oh, yes.
um how they dealt with criminals versus how humans do. So Spock makes the comment that for oh gosh, what was the quote? Hang on.
I was just gonna say, for those that
Um
glorify violence publicly, you certainly do punish those
let's
who
see.
act on it privately, or something like that.
Sorry, my lip is bleeding. 1 second.
No worries. But yeah, no. Again, it's also one of those sort of very smug Spock McCoy moments, and just like, yeah, all right, Vulcans are super superior, and
I apologize. I'm a mess today.
yeah, no worries. Make sure you're inside, stay inside. My goodness.
Yeah. Um it's just very
I was
dry.
just gonna say, did the other guy? I was just say, does the other guy look worse?
No, it's just very, very dry out.
Yeah. Nope, that's fair.
It's always good when you can taste blood.
Yep.
Mm.
It's how you know you're alive.
Eh, he is super sweaty, you're right. Um,
Incredibly sweaty.
yeah, Spock makes a comment about how um your Earth people glorify organized violence for 40 centuries, but you imprison those who employ it privately, which is such a fucking poignant thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is it that Star Trek routinely is able to say things that are still relevant 60 years later? Like, it really is incredible in its
Mm-hmm.
own way. Nothing to add? That's it? You're just
No,
agreeing
I was
with me
just gonna
now?
say. Oh no, truly, absolutely. Just like, yeah, war never changes. As Rod Serling,
No.
I would say, as Rod Perlman once said. Actually, Rod Perlman said like 3 times, but anyways.
Yeah, probably.
Oh no, I mean,
Um,
he's just the narrator in a bunch of Fallout games now.
okay.
You asked me
I
to
also
contribute.
wanted to comment that they just don't light people don't act the way they used to, and they don't light film the way they used to. Because that scene between Kirk and Dr. Van Gelder on the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
where Kirk's like basically just half of his face is lit,
Mm-hmm.
it is so dramatic
Mm-hmm.
and like very, very clear. And I guess part of it is that they were doing it although it was filmed in color, it was also being broadcast to black and white
Mm-hmm.
TVs, so it made it easier to tell faces and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But it is just so dramatic and incredible, and it makes the scene so much more powerful.
No, I absolutely agree, and I mean, also just they. There's also probably an element of they didn't quite know what sci-fi was necessarily as a
Hmm.
genre. So they're just basically, okay, we need to make this super hyper dramatic. It almost seems like, I mean, stage lighting's the wrong word, but just like, great, we are going to emphasize this in as much as humanly possible.
No, I do agree with you. It does feel like stage lighting. It
Mm-hmm.
feels like they hired someone who specializes in stage lighting to light this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it really does emphasize the faces, and that's just such that it makes a difference. It really does
Mm-hmm.
make a difference.
I'll tell you, nowadays you kind of have everybody with, like, in a scene in the same generic light at the very least. Like,
Yeah.
they're almost lit
Yeah.
identically and designed as such.
Hmm.
Like, this
And
is
I don't
inside the police station.
exactly. It does. It's all the same color essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, trying to still treat the lip while I'm doing this.
Yes, I would say, again, keep the insides inside. No worries.
We're trying. Where did I leave off? Da 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 da. Um, and then we get Van Gelder, who talks about how like things are not right on the Tantalus colony because
Mm-hmm.
they eventually realize that like he is Dr. Van Gelder. He was assigned there months ago. But he clearly is like not of sound mind, and they're now
Mm-hmm.
calling him an inmate and all of this stuff. So, um, to quote another Shakespeare play, something is foul in the state of Denmark. Um, some, something is seriously wrong in this place. Um, and I also wanted to talk about one of Kirk's catchphrases because his catchphrase is just explain. And I keep forgetting that that's his catchphrase because it's so like I joke about like Spock's fascinating
Mm-hmm.
all the time and he's dead Jim and all that kind of stuff, but like explain.
It's
Just
a
the way
very
he says it.
understated, too. Like, just.
He's like so deadpan about it
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Just
explain.
pause, slides over, explain.
No, you explain.
What? No, you explain. It's fine.
Catch Braden every other week on his podcast, What Explain.
Just
She
also.
says advertising to the two people currently watching, one of whom helps Braden make the podcast.
Yep. Yep. All right, I'm
Okay,
beginning to realize that we are about 4 minutes behind.
excellent.
All
Excellent.
right.
That's what it is.
Oh yeah.
Required by regulations as quoted by McCoy to
Mm-hmm.
investigate Van Gelder's injury, Kirk
Mm-hmm.
decides to visit the penal colony with someone who has psychiatric experience.
Well, not necessarily just psychiatric experience,
Oh,
Haley.
let me get there, Braden. Let me
Mm-hmm.
get there.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
The Enterprise has returned to Tantalus 5 and assumed standard orbit. Kirk enters the transporter room with Spock and is surprised to discover that he is beaming down to Tantalus 5 with Dr. Helen Noel, a psychiatrist with whom he's been previously acquainted.
Oh boy, has he.
Um, in the
And look
transporter
how
room, she
thrilled
tries to
he
remind.
is.
In the transporter room, she tries to remind Kirk about their previous encounter, but he cuts her off. To be clear, they fucked at the company Christmas party.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Like, it is amazing
Mm-hmm.
that somehow the you accidentally had sex with your boss at the company Christmas party has happened for like hundreds of
Thousands
years,
and
for as long
thousands
as
of
there have
years.
been bosses and
And
Christmas
Christmas
parties.
parties. Yep. The
I love it.
Science Lab Christmas
It's so
party.
good.
Yep. Which means Kirk is both a nerd and he fucks.
This okay, and see this also plays into my headcanon
Mm-hmm.
because the way Spock later, oh, I forgot to grab a screen grab of this, but the way Spock later encounters them and makes a face
Hold
is
on.
very like,
Hold on.
do you have it?
Boy, do I.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah.
Just the. Oh.
Well, and then he does the like cross arms and he leans.
Yep.
Like for me, that reads as oh, this is the pussy that my boyfriend went after. Because again, I believe that Spock is like mostly asexual, and so
Mhm.
Kirk is allowed to fuck whoever he wants. And Kirk primarily likes to fuck women, but he is in love with Spock.
Mhm.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
No, please. I would say, listen, I'm here for it. I will listen to your Spurk theories all day.
I am so glad. And if you describe Spurk in that manner again, I may cancel the show.
Tell me that's not written down somewhere in Roddenberry's Star Trek Bible, though. They've got some
We're
idea.
moving on. Spock asks if the captain has a problem, to which Kirk replies, telling Spock to let Dr. McCoy know that Dr. Noel better be his best technical aid.
Mm-hmm.
After beaming down, Kirk and Noel take a very fast turbolift down to the colony, which is a weird scene. Doesn't need to be there,
Yep,
to
doesn't
be
need to be.
perfectly
It's
honest.
basically just to aggressively state, okay, these two still find each other incredibly attractive.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yep.
Adams meets with the two immediately after the doors open and shares a toast in his office with them.
Wearing a goddamn
Just then,
bathrobe. Wearing a goddamn
so
bathrobe.
no, it's a jumpsuit. Um,
Oh.
Brayden, how familiar are you with the Heaven's Gate cult?
Familiar enough to know to have. It's probably best that I wasn't there.
I mean, yes, uh, correct. Um, they were a science fiction cult.
Okay.
Um, I know that sounds very strange, but essentially, most of their tenants came from various science fiction stories. They were very heavily into Star Trek. Um, but they were also like Applewhite was mostly influenced by Heinlein and Arthur C. Clarke. Um, so it's like kind of religious, but also kind of sci-fi. So these outfits that the employees of the penal colony wear, they're just very Heaven's Gate to me.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
um,
Absolutely.
yeah, you look at that the hand with the dove, and
Uh
I'm like,
huh.
it's just very Heaven's Gate, very cultish.
See, I was gonna make a joke of basically if there's more than 5 people in a place that is not a bathhouse wearing bathrobes, it's a cult. But also, holy shit, that actually might be a cult.
Oh, just you wait,
Mm-hmm.
because Dr. Adams, um, oh sorry, just then, Lethe, Letha,
Lethe?
Lethe.
Lethe. Ah! Lethe!
There she is. Again, excellent acting. Unclear if the lazy eye is part of the character or part of the actor, but it plays very
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
An emotionally detached former patient at the colony and now therapist enters. I love my work, she says unenthusiastically.
Mm-hmm.
Adams raises his glass to Kirk and Noel for the toast. To all mankind, may we never find space so vast, planets so cold, heart and mind so empty that we cannot fill them with love and warmth. Which, as a fan of true crime and cults,
Mm-hmm.
is very culty.
Yeah, I was
It's a
just
very culty thing to
just gonna
say.
say that is absolutely not the first thing he time he has said that. That is a thing he has
Yep,
rehearsed.
yep, it's very
Yep.
culty.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Jones wishes. Later, walking through the corridors of the colony, Dr. Adams informs Kirk and Noel that Van Gelder injured his mind by testing an experimental therapy device on himself, the neural neutralizer. Adams shows the device in operation on a patient, but says that it is of limited therapeutic value. Um, I want to point out that Dr. Adams spends the entire episode um, at least the first half of the episode, being very open and really, really trying to like tell as much truth as he can while still clearly hiding things, which is a very classic sociopathic and cult leader type of behavior, because most cult leaders are also sociopaths in some way.
I was like, great, we're open. Explore the compound. Not there. Take a look at that. Don't worry too much about that stack of bloody clothing. It's fine.
But then when they leave the room, we as the audience sees how the machine is actually used. They basically are telling lies. They're telling the patients, this is what you were going to think from now on. This is the part where I would like to pause for a second. And I want to talk about fashion.
Yes. I was just gonna say, which one of these would you like me? Would you like this one? Would you like this one?
I want to start with the other one.
Okay, done.
So, all the female patients / prisoners get to wear caftans, and all the males are wearing oversized pajama bottoms with loose-fitting pajama shirts. This is the weirdest fucking inmate dress code I've ever seen.
I would say, like, I think I own that. I think that is I think the first time in this entire show I could
Please
say.
Tell me you say you own the caftan.
God, I wish. You think I have caftan money? No, I was just gonna say I would say.
I think you have a crafty girlfriend.
That's true. Hey babe, why don't you make me a caftan? Bleep. Aw, the dog sighed at exactly that right moment, so.
For the record, Sarah, we can see you when he leans over like that, so you get to decide if he's in trouble or not. Hello, Amon.
Hello.
Yeah, I know. They're space Nikes, right?
Yeah, truly, it is basically just a space tracksuit. Yeah, when I lean forward, it does look a little bit like I'm in the middle of a cult ceremony, doesn't it?
Just Sarah leaning over wearing her hoodie.
Yeah, just it does look a little bit like I'm. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Can we go to the photo where Lethe is in the room with them?
Alright, give me a split second. That might be. Gotcha. Yes, that one!
Yes. Because I want to talk about the colors that come out in these caftans. Because, like, okay, this actually does look relatively comfortable. Because, like, it's loose, it's flowing, and I do like the colors that come out of it. Again, they were filming in color, but assuming that a lot of people were still going to be watching it in black and white, so you would still get a lot of that pattern out of it. And just space fashion being like a little bigger, a little baggier, more flowy is just very cool to me. I'm a big fan of that.
Absolutely. It's not often, admittedly nowadays, it's not often that space it goes bigger, gianter. A little bit. There's a little bit more of a grimmer aesthetic and just, or sort of like a cyberpunk sort of thing. Anyways, I digress.
Well, so that goes into actually really interesting like visual theory, where every decade that we imagine the future, we kind of just imagine the future as being like a bigger version of what we're currently living in. So the idea of big patterns and soft flowy clothes was very popular in the 1960s. So of course they would think, oh, in the future we're all going to dress like this because this is like this is the newest fashion that's coming up. And then you get into the TNG era, which was filmed primarily in the 70s and 80s, and you start to see like bold but blocky designs. So you're getting big colors but muted patterns, and you're getting fashion that has its own shape to it. Whereas in the 60s, fashion, or at least like this TOS, the fashion was more like the garment moved with you,
Mm-hmm.
whereas in the TNG era, the garment wore you.
Mm-hmm.
Was kind of more the perspective. And again, that's how fashion flowed throughout those decades. I could go on for absolute hours.
I was just gonna say, this is why you are the fashion correspondent. I love it. This is spectacular. Also, Squee, we do like cults here at Jim's Bleepin Space Emporium, just viewed from a distance.
Yeah, we're a fan of observing cults.
Yep, from a distance.
If you are being repeatedly told that you should not talk to other people and that the only people you can trust are in this one specific group, you're in a cult, you need to get out, please get some help.
Also, if you're told that you're only allowed to have sex with the leader of the cult and no other person, probably in a cult.
You're in a cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for indulging my fashion corner.
Oh, no, please.
On board the Enterprise, Spock and Dr. McCoy continue to investigate Van Gelder, whose ravings are difficult to decipher. However, at one point, Van Gelder claims Dr. Adams will destroy like death. I don't entirely know what that means.
That sounds a little bit like destroy light. Yeah, I was just gonna say. It... Yeah, no, never mind. That sentence left me, and
Yeah, it's a
yeah, I
weird
was just
sentence.
gonna say it's a weird sentence. It's a weird sentence. I'll stop there.
Yeah, that's kind of where we gotta stop. Sorry, I'm turning over my notebook.
Oh, please, by all means.
And so we. Oh, sorry, I'm not gonna skip too far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
In sickbay, Spock decides to employ an ancient technique, the Vulcan mind meld, to learn the truth that Van Gelder cannot speak aloud. Although Spock had never previously performed a mind meld on a human, the procedure meets with some success. He learns that Adams has been experimenting on various individuals, including Van Gelder, using the neural neutralizer. So for those of you that are unfamiliar, this is in fact the first episode where the Vulcan mind meld is introduced. Did you just raise your
I
hand,
did
Brayden?
indeed. I've heard the phrase, I've just never seen it done.
So I'm gonna basically read the Wikipedia on Vulcan mind melds because I don't think I could sum it up any better.
Mm-hmm.
A mind meld is a technique for sharing thoughts, experiences, memories, and knowledge with another individual, essentially a limited form of telepathy. It usually requires physical contact with the subject, though instances of mind melds without contact have been seen. When first depicted in the TOS episode Dagger of the Mind, the procedure was said to require several moments of intense concentration and preparation. However, subsequent episodes show contact between minds occurring almost immediately. Although most often seen done with humanoids, mind melds can be performed with members of other species. Spock even once successfully mind melded with a machine and was able to establish telepathic contact with the mechanical probe Vigor. Mind melds can be used to both erase and restore memories. Spock performs each of these on Captain Kirk during TOS's third season. A mind meld was even used to rejoin Spock's Katra with his physical body in Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. Mind melds can also allow more than one mind to experience memories and sensations, and sometimes even interact with the memories. Some species are able to resist mind melds. The quad-lobed brain structure of Ferengi make them unable to be telepathically read by other species, and with sufficient training and mental discipline, high-level Cardassian military personnel and/or agents of the Obsidian Order are able to resist mind melds. Oh my God, Pippa.
Oh, no. That's the other two. The other two are fighting.
Um, Agents of the Obsidian Order are able to resist mind melds used to extract information. For example, when Gul Dukat was captured by the Maquis, he successfully resisted a prolonged mind meld attempt from a female Vulcan Maquis member, much to the latter's frustration. So don't worry about the last little
I
chunk
was
that I
just
said
going to
there
say the
about
last
Ferengi and stuff like that.
85% of it. Alright, no, fair enough.
That went a direction that I was not anticipating. I should have read that beforehand.
No, fair enough. I was just going to say, I won't lie to you. The Obsidian Order sounds interesting.
We'll get there when we start watching Deep Space Nine.
Oh, fuck me.
But
That's good. I was just going to say, we got a few ahead of us. Alright, so I'll find out what that is sometime in 2028.
2 seasons of TOS to go and 15 of TNG.
I did not know TNG went that long. Honest to God. No
I
idea.
think it did. I'll double check.
I would just say I'm solidly intrigued. I'll never know what the Obsidian Order is.
No, you'll find out. Oh, sorry, it was only 7 seasons.
Okay, fair enough.
It felt like 15.
Fair enough. So what I'm hearing is, if we're getting to the next generation, we may be cherry picking episodes. Well, that'll be a problem for 2025, Haley and Braden.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, we'll work that out later. Yep. So the mind meld is a really, really interesting technique, and I kind of love that you're seeing it for the first time the same way most other people would have seen it for the first time, because for me, this is obviously not the first time I've seen a mind meld.
Mm-hmm. You've worked at comic expos. This is not the first time you've seen a mind meld. Are you telling me you've never seen somebody attempt a mind meld at a comic expo?
No,
Really?
I don't let people touch me.
No, I'm not saying with you. I'm saying with other people, like watching.
No, if it happens, it doesn't happen in the autograph hall. I'll tell you that much.
Noted. I think that's probably best. I gotta imagine that probably Shatner would clock anyone that tried.
Don't get me started on William Shatner.
That's our spin-off show, by the way. That's our spin-off show, by the way.
The spin-off show is Don't Get Me Started on William Shatner.
Yep.
Amazing.
I just said we give you 5 drinks and then we let you talk.
We don't record that one.
Fair enough.
That does not get. That is a live performance only.
Noted. We'll find you a black box theater. Don't you worry.
I love it. Oh, Braden, if we could take this on the road and be doing live shows, I'd love that.
Absolutely.
Anyways, Vulcan mind melds. So, I'm used to a mind meld being a little bit quicker. It has like kind of a standard format of how it's done, and so this was very weird to watch because it eventually does get streamlined where essentially the Vulcan puts their hands on the person's face, basically like this. And I forget exactly what it is. It kind of varies Vulcan to Vulcan as to like how they actually enter into the mind meld, but it's basically like your thoughts are my thoughts, your mind is my mind, we are one, that sort of thing. And then they kind of like enter into the memories, whereas what we see in this episode, Spock is kind of more experiencing all the emotions that Van Gelder has been experiencing, rather than just observing the memories. So it is a little bit unusual for me as a longtime fan to kind of like watch the first instance, but they didn't know what they were doing. They were making it up. They weren't sure that this show was going to get a second season, so they threw stuff at the wall just and it stuck.
Yeah, he's the alien one. Let's let him do something.
Yeah. Let's see what he can do, which is very interesting in its own way.
I would say the Vulcan sort of theory does seem to sound a little bit like an improv exercise taken over by a writer's room over time. Just like he's got red blood. No, he's got green blood. Doesn't have emotion. Yeah, he doesn't really have emotion. Pointy ears yet? No, I would say that was in the doc. Pointy ears, no emotions. Oh, he's got a nerve pinch. Nimoy was saying something about not wanting to clock somebody. Well, he's got a nerve pinch.
Exactly. Squee, I would not pay money for that. I would be in a different country. At the colony, Kirk and Noelle investigate the neural neutralizer privately. Basically, they sneak back and find it. Kirk wants a first-hand experience with the device. After Noelle provides assurance that an experiment can be done safely with her supervision, Kirk sits in the treatment chair. Using a very low setting, she suggests to Kirk that he is hungry. A few seconds later, unaware of the suggestion, Kirk does in fact suggest they find a kitchen to raid. Then, at Kirk's request, Noelle begins with a more elaborate suggestion. that Kirk and Noelle went back to Kirk's quarters for a romantic evening after meeting at the previous year's science lab's Christmas party, which didn't really occur.
Yeah, this is...
Suddenly,
Sorry, go. I would say I do have thoughts on this one.
please go ahead.
This... I'm not necessarily sure how far a psychiatrist slash penologist's oath goes, but this seems incredibly unethical. Just...
So, to an extent, I do agree with you.
Mhm.
But what I kind of like realized a little further in the episode is that when when the machine is being used at like a low setting,
Mhm.
um, you don't lose all of the memory. You just start to lose part of it. You like the suggestion starts to take over.
Mhm.
It doesn't erase your mind. It's more like a brainwashing. Um,
Which
and
is, of
so
course,
Van
much more
Gelder having
ethical. Oh, no,
oh
to be
yeah,
clear.
obviously. Um, because Van Gelder has basically been undergoing this um, treatment for the past 6 months,
Mhm.
he has lost a lot more memory and time, whereas Kirk experienced it for 2 minutes. So I think in this case, it's the kind of thing where, like, first of all, your captain ordered you to do that. You have to decide what you hold higher, your Hippocratic Oath or your station. And the second thing is that she's able to talk about a memory that they both have, that they both know how it and how. Um, but then he can also go back and be like, well, you suggested to me that it happened differently, and I know it didn't happen that way.
Mhm.
And I think that's part of like why you have to get routine um brainwashing, because your brain fights back. Your brain says, no, 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 that's not right.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Nope, I'm on board. I'm on board. You are correct.
I
I would
love it
say...
when you just let me go off. Why am I
Oh,
small?
I would say you're back to being large now. You're back to being large now. I don't
Mm,
know why you shrunk
mm.
back. I would say you are. I would just say you're
I think
back.
it's
You're
secret
back.
sabotage.
No, no, no. I'd be less subtle about that. But I would just say, like, also just immediately, it's like, no, no, no. It's not that they have a one shared memory. It's that she is now just like, no, no, no. This wasn't just a one-off. No, no, no. You are in love with me.
Hmm.
You care for me. You are in love with me. And then events happen that accelerate that a little bit. By that I
And
mean,
again, I think part of that
God damn
is
it. Oh, there we are. You're back to regular size now. God damn it. Why are you shrinking then
great.
unshrinking again? It's gonna be fine.
We're having fun.
We're having
We're
fun
having
here,
fun, folks.
guys. We're
It's
having fun
great.
here. Slowly losing my goddamn mind on the technical
Um,
side, but yes.
but again, it's his conscious mind fights back and says, no, no, that's not right.
You
Like what is being said to me and what is being fed to me is not correct.
know what I was saying? And again, Shatner did that. Wow, all of a sudden you've grown. But yes, I would say Shatner did that like remarkably well to his credit. It's like, yeah, he sold that in that fun little Shatnery way.
Yeah. Yeah. He did a really he again, William Shatner, the acting he does in this series is just incredible. Like he is a phenomenal actor in this TV show.
Uh huh.
Um, Suddenly, Adams surprises them and has his assistant Eli immobilize Noel and begins using the device to condition Kirk, including the suggestion that he is desperately in love with Noel and using a very high setting that are obviously causing Kirk's great distress. Um, I think it's very important to note that he keeps having to turn it up because Kirk is so resistant to it,
Mm-hmm.
because Jim Kirk is an incredibly strong man in so many ways.
Mm-hmm. And I would say absolutely. I would say Dr. Noel is just sort of trying to resist this right up until Dr. Adams mentioned you have been in love with Helen for years, And then this expression shows up on her face of the, oh, that might not be too. Yeah, that I could work with that.
I disagree. I think that's a much more concerned expression because your captain being in love with you is not a good thing. You wouldn't be able to be together. And okay, so because this was written in the 60s, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely from that kind of slightly misogynistic
Oh
perspective.
God, yes.
But someone somewhere down the line had the realization that women, we want to be loved when it's genuine. We don't want it forced. We don't want it coerced. That's why all these stories of like making love potions and stuff ends poorly or ends with the person upset because they can feel it's not real love. And that look to me is more of a, oh my God, he's doing the thing that I deeply desire,
Mm-hmm.
but this is not how I wanted it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, absolutely. No, no, please, absolutely.
Um,
I'm getting disabused of all my
fighting.
notions, and I'm here for it.
Hey, it's what we're here for. Fighting off the suggestions placed in his mind by Adams, Kirk dispatches Noelle to ducks in the hope she can find the power controls and deactivate the security force field. That field protects the facility and prevents transporters from operating within it. Also prevents communications
Mm-hmm.
from operating. After crawling through the duct, Noelle manages to locate the power control room for the colony. She takes care of the guard in the power control room and deactivates the field long enough for Kirk to escape the torture and Spock and a security force to beam down and secure the colony. In an ironic twist, Dr. Adams dies of exposure to the neural neutralizer after Kirk knocks him down when Spock restored the power. However, Dr. Noel notes the neutralizer was not on high enough to kill Adams. Kirk says he died because he was alone, his mind emptied by it, without even a tormentor for company. Dr. Van Gelder is cured and resumes his responsibilities at the colony. He also dismantles and destroys the neural neutralizer equipment. Before the Enterprise heads away from Tantalus 5, McCoy says, "It's hard to believe that a man could die of loneliness." Kirk tells him, "Not when you've sat in that room." He then instructs Spock to break orbit and proceed away at warp factor 1. Um, this is a very interesting ending. It's a lot more introspective than most Star Trek endings. Am I talking to myself right now, or are you still
Nope,
there?
I am still there. I am still there. I am solely listening.
Okay.
I would say,
My Skype screen is completely frozen, so I was like, "Oh no, am I just talking into a void?"
no, no, no. You're there. You're. I would say I'm there. I'm there. I would say
As long as I can hear you.
yes. I would say, and of course, they talk about Captain Kirk's crippling PTSD from having his brain forcibly just brainwashed, and then the years of that. No, no.
Well, so okay, again, here's another interesting parallel that happens with um later series of Star Trek. Um there is another captain who is eventually like brought into an unusual situation and has his mind brainwashed, basically has his mind taken away from him.
Ah, yes, John
Um
Luke Pickard. Gene Luke.
I can't tell if you're bullshitting me or if you genuinely don't know.
Such is my magic.
I hate you. Um yes, it was Jean-Luc Picard. Um that it is interesting how a lot of these storylines really start to come back
Mhm.
and how they a lot of groundwork is laid in the original series that like you don't realize is groundwork at first because again they didn't know if they were going to get a second season.
Mhm.
They were just throwing things out there and it's really cool to see what sticks.
Mhm.
And again, this is why I love being able to do this because I, as a longtime Star Trek fan, am able to look back and go like, "Oh, I see where these threads got pulled through," and you're just like, "Oh, this is a cool
Yep,
story,"
I would say I.
and
I was
and
like,
it's
I am
very
more than willing to
fun to
follow
have
this
all of that.
along. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, you can tell what what sticks and what doesn't. Like, um, what was the last episode we did?
I was
Miri?
just gonna say the one where I was just say
Yeah,
where the 13-year-old girl hits on Kirk. Yeah, that one probably didn't stick.
yeah. You can tell that like, this one wasn't a strong one. But Dagger of the Mind is really, really strong and brings in a lot of
Mhm.
really interesting ideas.
I would say that the tale of
Um,
the three space prostitutes and their pimp. Less so. Or did that continue onwards? I'll find out.
um. So back to Tantalus. um, I I do have a note here when I was watching the
Mhm.
episode. Did Spock just punch a lock? Which he entirely did in order to open the like box so that he could get at the security force field. He punched the lock. I
That
was
is
like,
how
I love this man.
much he missed Kirk. He's just like, God damn it. Okay. Just
You don't take my boyfriend away from me.
exactly.
Look, if there was a lock separating me and my boyfriend, I probably would punch the lock. I would do literally anything to get that lock off.
Hmm.
So, actually, I have done that. He and I have done a few escape rooms where we've been locked in separate cells.
That's
It's
fair.
happened twice in an escape room. I have a lot of questions for myself.
Just because you're just a lock punch, you're a lock punching machine, man. Lock breaking, lock punching machine.
Better than punching other things, that's for
Yep,
sure.
that's true. Sure. Knuckle seal. Probably.
And I agree with McCoy. It's very interesting the idea that a man could die of
Hmm.
loneliness. But I think more accurately, well, no, I think loneliness is the right way to say it. But his brain was empty. There were no memories. There was nothing left in there. And I don't buy Noel saying it wasn't at a high setting because
Hmm.
Dr. Adams specifically said to Kirk, Dr. Van Gelder was crying on his knees when I put it uh, at this strength, and you're still
Hmm.
going. So he had to turn it up higher. So I think it was actually at a very, very high strength.
Oh, I agree, and I think Dr. Noel's kind of terrible at her job.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the very least,
I can get behind
like
that.
just a lot of it just genuinely seemed this could have been solved a little quicker if she had any questions whatsoever. That's what the subject matter
She does
expert.
not ask a lot
No,
of
she does
questions.
not. No, she does not. I was like,
Oh,
oh, it's Dr.
that's weird.
Adams. He's probably on the level. We've heard of him. This is okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
Yep, just absolutely.
Anyway, um, that I love this episode. I think this is a great episode and definitely is a classic for
Oh,
sure.
100% agree. I enjoyed this immensely. Though I do have one question for you, Haley. And I think this is
Of course.
probably going. Well, actually, this is a bit more of a toss up than I thought. Again, would you say that this episode has, and I'll actually go back to our regular screen for this, would you say that this episode has more fear or more sex in it?
Ooh, this one is a toss up. Um, I think it has more
Mm-hmm.
fear, but it's like a 55-45 kind of thing.
No, absolutely. I'd say on that board too. It is a remarkably half and half cocktail of fear and
Yeah.
sex.
Yeah. Yeah, but just that little bit more fear. I think because of the neural
Mm-hmm.
neutralizer and like Van Gelder being so crazy in the first like 15
Oh,
minutes.
100%. Van Gelder's the one that tips it. Not even a not even a question.
Yeah,
That one,
definitely.
Van Gelder was all fear and no sex. Which is of course the thing that'll probably
Fair.
be put on that character's tombstone. All fear, no sex. Simon Van Gelder.
Is that like all killer, no filler?
Yep, absolutely.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just before we sign off, Brayden, I'm going to remind you to press the stream ending button.
Would you like me to do that now?
Well, we gotta
Ah, you're right.
live fast and get fucked or
All
whatever.
right. You know what, Haley? Start us off with our ending. Now we're gonna.
Hey, Brayden,
Hey, Haley.
live fast and get fucked or whatever.
Live fast and get fucked and whatever to you too. And the hooded cultist behind me also says that.
Correct.